Welcome to the NEPA Scene Podcast, the weekly live extension of the most read arts and entertainment publication in northeastern Pennsylvania. We're coming to you live from Studio 201 in downtown Scranton. I'm Rich Howells. I'm the founder and editor of NEPA Scene. And tonight we're here with the vocal and multi-instrumental duo, The Frost, an award-winning jazz soft rock act from Blakely. So they're going to play a song or two for us tonight. And we're going to be talking about how they met and started making music together. How being a couple kind of plays into their work, their latest single, Play Nice, and how they plan to follow it up, music they have coming up here. Christian also has a new solo album called 1979, so we're going to talk about that as well. They perform around the tri-state area in various venues and settings. They also teach some music as well, so we're going to talk about a lot of different topics tonight. So we hope you stay tuned for the full hour. We would love to hear from you guys. Anything you want to say, any comments, any questions, anything you want to add to our conversation, please leave that in the comments down below. We will respond to them live in just a little bit. But before we get to the interview, we just want to plug our sponsors real quick. The V-Spot is one of the most popular bars in northeastern Pennsylvania with live entertainment every night of the week. In fact, they were just there last week.
We
I
were,
believe, right?
yeah.
And it's probably going to get even more popular because I have to mention the V-Spot is becoming a non-smoking venue with the exception of the billiard room, which I'm sure you as an artist probably greatly appreciate.
Yes, yes, very much.
And me as a non-smoker, and with many more non-smokers out there than smokers, I'm sure we all greatly appreciate that. So not only does that mean that there's non-smoking in the bar area and near the stage, but you have to go back to the billiard room, and there's kind of smoke eaters and stuff back there to take care of any smoke that might creep in. But our open mic is coming back in just a month, and that's going to be huge for us because I know a lot of my friends and a lot of people that I know that love our open mics can't always come to the V-Spot because sometimes it can get a little too smoky for them. So hopefully now that'll alleviate that, and you guys will come back. So make sure that you keep that in mind when we're back next month. So this week, Riley Loftus is playing on Thursday. The Molly Pitcher Path covers everything from Led Zeppelin to Coldplay on Friday until sunrise. We'll bring the crowd to the dance floor on Saturday. DJ Pat Moore is hosting karaoke on Sunday. We also want to plug our other sponsor, Stage West, our newest sponsor, the Scranton's premier entertainment venue for live music, comedy, food, drinks, and special events. And they're one of the only venues in Scranton that brings national acts to the area. Emo band Morning in May is playing on Thursday. Electronic trap artist Buku will be coming from Pittsburgh to drop the bass on Friday. Mac Lethal takes his Kings of Hearts tour to Scranton on Sunday, March 1st, with local openers Gus the Savage, Ty Soul, Mercy Gang, the KP, and more. The Tool tribute band Schism will open your third eye on Friday, March 13th, with Revolution Tax, which is a Rage Against the Machine tribute act. So you get both Tool and Rage, who were both peers during that era, and they collaborate a little bit. So maybe we'll see some of that at that show. The actual Tool is coming to Wilkes-Barre, so I'm completely thrilled about that.
That's cool.
If you can't wait for that show, like me, then maybe you want to check out that show, or maybe you can't afford it. I know ticket prices are getting a little crazy these days, but I think usually the arena kind of keeps it around the $50-$60 mark, so that's not too bad. Stage West opened their second location in State College as well last weekend, and they have some cool stuff coming up. Real Big Fish. Against Me, Trapped, Devil Wears Prada, Black Flag. Those were just announced this week as well, so that's pretty cool. Maybe some of those will come to Scranton and vice versa. We'll see. I think Against Me is coming to the Sherman. We announced that this week as well. All right, so let's get into the interview. How did you guys get started in music? Was it at a young age for you?
Well, Christian's a little bit older than me, so...
You gotta get that in right away.
You might have to go.
A couple of years.
You're old.
Just a couple.
No,
years, right?
So you might have to go first on that one. You might have to go first.
Are you giving respect to your elders?
I am, yes.
Well, I got started. I always loved music, and I was always fascinated by music. Music was an escape. It was a world where everything was beautiful and wonderful. It still is. And when I was 11, I got a guitar and got some lessons, but the guitar I had was very bad. You know, it was just it was terrible just to practice on. You know, and so what had happened was I wound up destroying it because it was a very unmusical musical instrument. So I saved up, got myself an electric guitar and an amp from the JCPenney catalog. And when I hit my first chord, it was like, okay, this is it. You know, it was like, yes, this is what I'm looking for. So then that's it. You know, from that moment on, age 14, it's been nonstop, you know, music. You know, I went to school for it. I went to college. I got a scholarship from Marywood for music. And while I was there, I discovered I had thought, growing up, I had thought, you know, I was so enamored with music, and I had thought that everyone experienced the same thing I did, which is called chromesthesia, which chromesthesia is a form of synesthesia where you your senses are overlapping, and one sense will trigger another. In my case, it's aural and visual, and so I would hear music, and you know, I would see color, and you know, so kind of, you know, my favorite the kind of music I listen to is basically, it facilitates those colors, you know, that I like to see almost. Like, you know, how an artist has their favorite colors to work with. Well, I have my certain favorite textures that I see, you know. For instance, if an acoustic guitar, for instance, if I play the low E string, I'll hit that and I'll see it looks like a long spring. And I'll see red in between the coils of the spring. If I hit a high E string, I'll see a real thin spring, still with that red in between the coils. It's a real strange thing. So that's what I see when I play the guitar.
It's a light show every time you play.
It's literally, yes. I never did LSD or any kind of drug, so I don't really need to.
It's all there.
It's all there. It's going
there.
constantly upstairs. So I mean, that's why, you know. And I discovered this when I was at Marywood, and I said, "You have synesthesia." I'm like, "Oh, I do." Wait, you don't see? And I'd be asking you, "You don't see this? You know, you don't see those colors? Like, listen,
Like, you thought that was like the norm for everyone.
That's light blue. Isn't that beautiful? Like, what are you talking about? You know, while I was there, I met one girl who did have synesthesia, and I forget her name, but she had synesthesia, and consequently, you know, perfect pitch also. So, you know, that was that, and it's just, I guess, you know, that's kind of, I'm predestined to do this, you know, like play music, and you know, it's just a great journey, you know. It's very rewarding doing what you love to do, you know, and getting some, being able to relatively make a living relatively off of it. Yeah, how about you?
Well, my start's a little different, but I got into music probably about 5 years old. You know, they do school plays and everything.
Oh yeah, sure.
Everybody's in a school play, but the one teacher that I had, she was a piano player, but she wasn't a music teacher. She was just you know, a first grade teacher, but really loved music and put music in everybody's life in her class more so than even the music teacher, you know, ironically. But so, you know, I had a duet, and I really enjoyed singing, and I did other stuff at the time too. I did like dancing. Was not very good at it, and it just seemed like music was more so where my path seemed to be going. So when I was about 11, I started taking theater classes and opera lessons, actually. A lot of people are surprised by that. But I took some opera lessons. Not my cup of tea, but I feel like I did really learn a lot. Not a lot of people, when they hear somebody, especially when they hear me singing, you know, maybe like a rock song or a country song, I know, right? It's laughable. It's laughable, but you'd be surprised how much you could actually learn, like from opera techniques. It's amazing. So the teacher that I had, she was fantastic. She actually she worked up at Wilkes University at the time, but she moved out to Manhattan. So then I ended up, a little later on, I started studying jazz with Erin Malloy. And she's from the area. And she's also a great vocal teacher. I think she still teaches today. But so I took jazz lessons from her and really felt like I learned a lot. And then in high school, I thought I was going to go on to college to, go and be a vocal performance major. So I auditioned for Berklee College of Music, got in, went to Boston, and I hated it. Not to say that I hate the school. It was more so just, I think, the atmosphere of that city that just wasn't vibing with me, and something was telling me to just go back home. So I did. Music was still with me at the time. So I actually ended up joining a rock band while I was going to college for psychology. So I have a bachelor's in psychology. And then shortly after, a few years went by, and Christian and I got together. And that's kind of where, my musical journey is at.
How did you guys meet then? When was the first time you met?
Well, we just met through Facebook and just talking because.
Well, the first time
we would talk, we would talk on Facebook. Hey, do you like this song? Do you like that song? So that's how it worked. Then we went out on a couple dates. Then a few months later,
he had a show at a place called Russell's in Dunmore, and he was just playing piano. I think on the patio, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you're out on the patio, and he was playing some pretty much like cocktail music and stuff like that. Very relaxing atmosphere, and he invited me to sing a few songs. And the owners happened to be there that night, and they asked us to both come back every Wednesday and Friday, and we were like, whoa, that's like, it was like, all right, well, let's get a set list together. We're doing this. Right. So, yeah.
The commitment has been made for you.
It was, yeah. So we were already seeing each other before that, but music-wise, that's how that really all came to be. Together. Yeah, and it worked, and here we are, almost 5 years later.
Well, so. I know for not to get too personal or anything, but for some couples, work and stuff doesn't mix. Like you want to come home to that person, but you go to work and you can't necessarily work together. But it seems like it works for you guys that you guys can go out and do that, but also have your relationship too. How does that work for you?
It's there are issues that come up. That's just like everybody else. You have to separate.
Yeah,
you have to separate. Oh, this happens. It doesn't have to do with us. Is together. It's the business thing. So you have to just just little things like that.
Yeah, I think that's
you
with
have to learn
any.
To separate.
I think that's with any relationship, and whether you're a business partner with your romantic partner or not, I think people have to learn how to work out little kinks here and there. But I think what's most important is that we both love each other and we love what we do, and we get to do it together all the time, and it's really a beautiful experience. I mean, we get to play the music that we love together. We get to travel together. And not a lot of people get to do that, and that's that's really great. It's really great, We're very grateful.
It's hard work though too, it's booking. And
it gets.
It's constant. It's constant. It's not. Yeah. It's not like everybody calls us. No, we got to go out there and hustle. A lot of times it's like you gotta.
I think
you
people
beat on people's doors.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people misconstrue. This entire business. It's you don't always get lucky. Like nobody just up and gets lucky.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of hard work.
Yeah. You have to put yourself out there You have to put your music out there. And that's whether you're playing a live set, that's, that has to do with putting your original music out there too. You have to be in contact with other people. You have to get people to know who you are to see payback.
Networking is important. And,
Oh, yeah.
I think too, a lot of musicians feel like if I just make the music, then they come to me. Like the venues are just like calling me up, and then they get real discouraged when that doesn't happen. But you have to, like you said, you got to hustle and constantly contact venues and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that anyone who gets in, who wants to have a career, they should. Well, music school should teach you marketing. They should teach you about marketing.
I think
there should be a course on marketing, because it's an absolute necessity. You can't, you cannot. This whole musical community is who you know, where, and just.
And there's something new to learn every single day. There's something new to learn every single day. Mm-hmm. You're always learning, different networking techniques.
And that's another thing. Don't get stuck in your ways.
No.
You constantly have to adapt and change, especially with
technology.
Social media now is so important. Technology.
Absolutely.
We were just talking about that before we started rolling,
Yeah.
People, I think, don't know how to do that. And then, there's always the option of hiring somebody, but not everybody has that kind of money.
Right.
That's a big
really
expense.
Expensive. Yes, it can get very, very expensive.
Thousands.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Remember that? We had a few people contact us.
Oh yeah, that's another thing too. Sometimes you gotta watch out for people, because you'll get some people contact you. Oh, well, we could market you for like $4,000. Whoa!
Yeah.
My God, what?
What could I do with $4,000?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Can you guarantee this? Well, no. Wait a second. So it's it can get a little crazy sometimes.
Money makes everything easier, though. It really does. I mean, if you let's face it, if I was well off, or we were relatively well off, we could hire somebody to do this for us.
Sure.
Here's $10,000. Just put it everywhere. So you're gonna, right? It's easy.
Well, that's how record labels work too.
I mean?
You have to. That's what they do. They kind of give you the money to, put your product out there, to as many people as possible, because things can get expensive, So. But.
Well, a lot of people, as far as like major labels and stuff, a lot of these products that we use, a big chunk of them of advertising is figured into them already. Mm-hmm. You know that, right?
Right, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't, and it's not a small amount. It's like almost half of what that goes into. The half of the bottom line is advertising, because it's so important to get in people's constantly get your name out there.
So let me ask you this then. When you're putting together what venues you're going to play at and stuff like that, do you kind of adjust your show depending on and how you do things, depending on where you're playing and stuff like that? Is it different at each place that you go?
Yeah. I mean, we're very open with venues that we book with too, and let them know. We were talking about this before. We kind of, claim to be multi-genre. Mm-hmm. So even though we could sit here and say that we love playing, even our original music, soft rock, smooth jazz, stuff like that. We're not going to not do country if somebody wants to hear it. Right. You know what I'm saying? We've played fairs, country fairs, we've played at jazz clubs, and surprisingly, if we open that up to people and we say, give us some requests, you'd be very, very surprised how many times we've gone to a certain venue that is known to like one genre of music towards the other. Mm-hmm. You'd be very surprised how many times you get a wild request. We'll be at a jazz club sometimes, and they wanted to hear Ozzy, and we were like, all right,
Okay.
we're gonna do it. If you, if you want to hear it.
Yeah, now there's a contrast. Like,
We'll
play Club Macanudo on Wednesday nights, and then go play Butcher Bob's Barbecue. The next day playing Alan Jackson and Toby Keith and stuff like that.
Yeah. So you never know. And I think any artist that does that is smart, and it really it really gives people the opportunity to hear what they want to hear at all times.
Well, if you're so obviously you can do stuff in different styles too. Like we posted earlier, you covering Nirvana and doing it in kind of a jazzy style and stuff, or like Post Malone or something that people might not expect. That a singer songwriter duo could do that on request. So is that you're constantly thinking of ways to do those types of things, or how do you even choose like what songs you think would work in that kind of style or with your particular talents?
Well, Leah will she'll pick some modern stuff out, that and I'll just make it work. What I do is sometimes I use a looper pedal. You know what that is? Mm-hmm. Which it's like having two other hands.
Right.
It's like having an entire group with you. Because especially for R&B, these R&B tunes that we do, you could lay down a simple chord, because a lot of these songs are what we call loops. They're just 4 chords that cycle themselves over and over again.
Mm-hmm. A lot of modern stuff is like that.
So you could just loop the heck out of that and add parts to it and create an entire arrangement right there. So
and I want to say that I think sometimes because Chris and I kind of like that modern jazz sound, I think sometimes I don't know if we do this intentionally or not, but sometimes we'll kind of sway that way.
Right.
And it works.
What do you mean?
People kind of we'll go in and we'll take a pop song, and the way we cover it, it has a little bit of a jazzier feel to it. But it's not like old school jazz, not like traditional jazz, which is something, we can do, but to give it gives it style. It gives it style, and we put our own spin on it,
And I think people appreciate that more than, because I think you hear a lot of, cover bands and stuff like that, and they're really trying to mimic the sound exactly that you hear on an album. And I kind of prefer when I go out, I want to hear, okay, what's your take on this song?
Yeah.
Don't try to just copy that guy exactly, because you're never gonna sound exactly like that. So why try? Why not just do it your own way?
I mean, don't get me wrong. There are sometimes we'll go in, we'll cover a song, and we will do it the way it sounds, especially if it's a classic rock song. You get something like Fleetwood Mac. People want to hear,
You can't mess with that too much.
You can't mess with that,
Right.
That's just a classic, that's just a classic.
But not
group.
everybody can do Fleetwood Mac either.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You have to understand too that, when we do these hip hop and rap tunes and R&B tunes, I have an acoustic guitar. There's zero acoustic guitar in any of these.
Right.
So I'm actually, I don't want to say I'm limited to doing that certain style. It's kind of like, basically I have an acoustic guitar. How could I make this work? So I'm like, okay, well, there's no choice for it to be kind of jazzy sounding.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Yeah, and that's our style live, which is, a little bit different than when you see us get in the studio. We have a little bit more leg room to work with, I guess you could say, because
We're in the studio.
it's way different. It's way different.
I'm all, I got my whole, vintage, it's all electric guitars and synthesizers and electric pianos and what I mean?
You got two vocalists, 2 songwriters, 2 people that play the piano, and he also plays bass and guitar. We got a little bit more to work with, which you can't really play 8,000 instruments at once when you're playing live.
Sure.
So we kind of go a little more wild in the studio than when we're playing live.
And I respect, you're one of those, groups that goes out and plays at all these different places.
Yeah.
It's not easy to do that because, I get all the time, like I'll live stream from a local venue and stuff. And half the comments are people going, why doesn't everyone here just shut up and listen? And that's got to be a little frustrating too, to go into like a bar or a restaurant area. And people, obviously they want to chat, they want to talk and stuff. But you also kind of want to be respectful too, and not everybody is respectful. I mean, we know that. So I would assume that's challenging to do that and to kind of keep your momentum going the whole night.
Well, I was told by a mentor when I was younger that he said to me, "You have to realize that sometimes you're going to be background music," and he was right, because that's the thing. Sometimes people want to go out and just hear like just a lull, underneath when they're speaking. And then there's times people really want to go out and party and like listen and have a good time. So I think it's important as, an artist and a musician to kind of keep that in mind, and not take it to heart.
Right.
There's been times Christian and I have played a venue and it was silent and nobody claps, nobody anything, and you're like, and then you're walking out at the end and hey, that was awesome, and we're like, thank you, Other times we'll play a place, people are getting up, dancing on the tables, it's crazy,
Yeah.
You really never know, but I think that's something to keep in mind and not, like, you can't take it to heart. You can't take it to heart if you are technically background music for a night.
I think Frank Zappa said this. I believe it was 1969. Frank Zappa. You know Frank Zappa. So I believe don't quote me on the quote, but it was something like American audiences love entertainment, but others, like the European audiences love art. And if you'll notice that European audiences and artists in other parts of the world, even for rock bands, they'll sit there and be in jazz. And if you're a jazz group, and I've read this from many jazz people, they said that there was dead silence, until after the song, and then they all clapped.
Yeah,
everywhere, and that's how it was. They really pay attention. Here in America, it's, a lot of times we are just part of the atmosphere. We're there with our instruments. It's does it bother me? No, I look I look at it as I'm getting paid at the end of the night.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
I mean, I look at it that way, and if I really knew that people were really like paying attention to me, I'd be real nervous. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
When you know that people
Get out.
like right now, I'm nervous. I'm on camera. I'm like live. Whoa! But if I knew that I wasn't being critically analyzed, so to speak, I'd be like, yeah, man, whatever, But instead, I'd be like, oh my god. That's how I'm in the studio too. I'll freeze up sometimes.
Oh, he gets so like he'll spaz out recording, and I'm like, why? Why?
I'll make the tiniest. Oh God, we got to start over again.
Oh my gosh.
And but that's it's just like anything else. When you're, it's a self-conscious thing. If you're self-conscious, that's what happens. But I mean, some of now as far as playing out, the other thing I noticed is always unexpected. You could kind of pigeonhole a certain place, or pigeonhole an audience, but it's actually never works.
Never know.
Sometimes we'll go to a place that might look country,
and
they want to hear jazz tunes.
Yeah,
we might go to Club Macanudo, this place in New York that we play at, right?
That's where they want to hear Ozzy. I said before.
We walk in the door, they're playing 80s hard rock.
Yeah.
Like they're playing like Men at Work in the Culture Club. And I'm like, whoa, okay. All right.
And that's why it's like,
Because we're
it's
going in
really-
there thinking, okay, well, we have to wear like our suits. We have to do some Sinatra and some Dean Martin,
Oh, and
Yeah,
we do that too.
there are people
and they do
that-
enjoy it.
There are people that want to hear that, but mostly it's like, do some Bon Jovi, right?
Yeah, it'll be so random. Like, but I think that's another thing that's cool though too. Like I was, back to what I had said a little bit earlier, is that if you keep an open mind with the style of music and you open that opportunity up to your audience and you say, tell us what you want to hear. Not what we want to play.
Right.
Not what we want to play, what you want to hear. And that's what we do.
It gives them a sense of like their, you know how it is. If you're out and somebody plays your song, right? You feel special,
Right.
Yeah.
You feel like, okay, cool. I'm special, like they like me, like they're
Yeah.
playing my song. Isn't this cool, So, and not only that, but I always say this, is that the hardest part about playing out is knowing what song you're going to play next. That's the hardest part of the whole thing, man.
Listen, we have a set list,
so we
and
get
it's
everybody
still,
else to do
like-
it for us, like, what do you guys want to hear? Play this one, play this one. Okay,
man.
okay.
We have like this beat up, dented up set list, and it's like, yes, you still just never know. Like we still have to look and see what we're gonna play next,
Because it's like that's the hardest thing. The hardest thing is picking the first song. I always noticed.
Yeah.
Even when I was doing a solo a long time ago, I'd be up there like literally like, what am I gonna play? What am I gonna play?
You have like a whole list.
I
of
literally
stuff.
have like a book of like 500 songs there, and I can't think of what song I'm going to
think of
start
one.
with.
Yeah.
Because you just get nervous. Like you're like, will they like this? Do they want to hear some upbeat? They want to hear something. So I usually just like defaulted it and just went to a Billy Joel song because it's like everybody likes Joel.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
so
right.
there
Who
it
doesn't
was.
like Billy
Yeah.
Joel?
So. There it is.
So let's talk about your music. When you guys get in the studio, what is your process?
So we kind of have a different process every time because, being that we're both songwriters, sometimes we'll sit down and write a song together. Sometimes I'll start writing a song and I'll propose it to him and say, okay, let's see how we could further this. Do you hear guitar? Obviously, I'm playing it on the piano, and singing it. What do you hear? What do you hear next? Sometimes Christian will write a song, lyrics and all, hand it to me. Here you go. This is how it goes. Sometimes he'll just have the lyrics sometimes he'll just have the music and I'll write the lyrics. It's a different process every time. You never really know. We don't know ourselves, like how we're going to write a song next. We kind of just, whoever comes up with an idea first, or if we just happen to be sitting down one night and an idea comes to our heads, that's kind of how we write.
Well, as far as writing songs, I think one of the greatest inventions, or the greatest things to have, is that phone. Because as soon as you get a melody or something stuck in your head, you just you hum that into your phone.
That's like,
and
yeah.
then you go, and I was driving to, I was driving down to Allentown last week, and I had that, that new song where I was working on that I wrote today, that I finished. I had that in my head, like, oh, this melody. Here's the hook, right? The typical, like, the actor with this thing, idea for a screenplay. Right? So I'm in my car, like just humming, just crudely humming this, so I wouldn't lose it. Because how many, do you play music, Rich?
I don't, but I do get the same thing when I'm writing. If I have an idea,
Yes.
and if I don't immediately write it down or email
You
it to
have to jot it
myself, I have
down.
like a million emails to myself of just like little snippets
Oh,
that
you
no one else would
actually
ever
email.
figure out.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
what it is. If they read it, they would have no clue.
All you need is
or
just-
like a notebook or something. Like I always have to have something on me to
All
make
you
sure.
need is that reminder. Is that reminder. Oh, because you'll forget. I have like
No,
30 different song ideas on my phone.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'll use iTunes notes, and that's how.
Really?
Yeah, and I'll write down lyrics and stuff like that.
And so there's that, and the thing about like how I kind of write is I kind of put I say to myself, okay, well, I want to write it. I'm going to put this song in this certain style. I have like a certain bunch of styles that I like to write in. Like I like disco music, good disco music. I like funk. I like soul. I like jazz. So it's one of those veins, and I have a favorite bunch of instruments that I like to use. You know, like a favorite palace, if you will, of instruments. And so I'll try to hear the whole entire arrangement in my head before I go into the studio. It's like, okay, you know, I'll try to hear what each instrument, what I want it to do, and 9 times out of 10, I don't even touch an instrument. We make a date, we go down there,
and it just starts rolling.
And I just like, here we go.
Yeah.
So I'll lay down. I play. We use a drummer. We use Bob Scory.
Yeah, he's great.
And,
he's a great guy.
I can't play the drums, but I play everything else. And we just like a sandwich, you know. You layer it. You know, drums, bass, drums and keys first, then bass, then more keys, then guitar. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then synth maybe. Another synth, then vocals.
Yeah, you had a
layer it up.
You told me,
you know?
I think you had a track of your own
Yes.
off his solo album. What, 39 tracks?
It's like 39 tracks.
That's, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
John,
the one.
John, how many tracks is this thing? 39. What? I mean, because there's a ton of harmonies on it too. It's just this giant wall of sound. At one point, it becomes this. Just starts here, you know. It's like this, and then it just stack upon stack upon stack. You know?
I think even on even vocal wise that could happen too. If you know, I think there's one song off of our album Spring that I think there's 6 vocal tracks.
Yes.
On one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah.
So this is the new solo record, 1979.
Yes, 1979.
So obviously the date has some significance because it kind of sounds, it has that 70s, maybe early 80s sort of feel to it. So that is that what you were going for on there?
Yes. Interesting. What had happened was, I mean, do you know how when you grow up, well, I you know, if you talk to your parents, they'll probably say their greatest influence was the Beatles, right? You know,
Sure.
and Ed Sullivan. Like, if you ask every boomer, like, you know, like, what was it for you? The Beatles and Ed Sullivan. You know, like that made so many people, you know, just run out and get guitars. 1966 was the greatest year for like record sales and in guitar sales and musical instrument sales. And that was because of the Beatles, the British Invasion, you know. So, the 1979 for me, I was 8 in 79. That was at that age, the radio was my Beatles, you know. It was one of the only sources of joy in my life, you know, and I could not wait every week to go get that 45 or 2, you know, from the record store. I remember, like, you know, my great grandfather every week would give us $1. You know, he'd give us 2 50-cent pieces. You remember those things? I don't even know if they still use them anymore.
I see them once in a while.
Yeah.
But you know, we'd go to the mall maybe on Saturday. I'd go to the music fair. You know, the counter was up to here. I'd like hand my 2 50-cent pieces up there like that. You know, and I remember the first 45 I ever bought was the theme from Happy Days.
Oh my gosh.
I was 5 years old. But anyway, what had happened was I've always been a record collector, and I love just the whole tactileness of the vinyl. You know, watching it spin, the smell of the record, all the artwork. To me, it's just like it just brought me so much joy as a child, especially. It brought me so much joy, and so. You know, I've always bought, even through the CD age in the 90s, and I always bought records, played records, even when I was buying cassettes. And I remember stopping at the Gallery of Sound. Big shout out to the Gallery of Sound. You guys are the best.
Yes.
I love you. Jimmy from the Gallery of Sound. And they started carrying used albums for like $1 or $2. And, you know, to me, that's like, oh no, here goes my money. So all of a sudden, the fever, it hits like full time. I'm going through there, I'm walking out with stacks of records under my arms, like, you know, like 2-3 times a week. Like, you know, they're only $1 each. But now what I did was I bought stuff I never heard before, stuff that was in that era, my favorite era of production, 78, 79, when you had this, 78, 79, there was disco. It was huge. That was the biggest, And then you had, this phenomenon called yacht rock. Well, now it's called yacht rock. But what was going on was, it was a very soft version of rock, soft rock. So those two genres were being played on the radio. This is before the days of like radio consultants, in the early 80s that said, don't play that song, play this song, like, because, the station wanted you to not touch that dial. So if you played the wrong song, you're going to touch the dial, So the consultants were brought in to make everything, not painful, just so you would just keep it on and so before those days, radio stations would mix genres just as easily as like putting your iPod on shuffle. iPod. That's how old that is, right? Putting your record player on shuffle. Or putting your CD player on random.
Nowadays, it's like Release Radar on Spotify,
Yeah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So here's what happened. So I grew up in an era where country, rock, disco, funk, jazz was being played one after another. You'd have a Kenny Rogers record next to a Herb Alpert record, which was a jazz artist, next to like in a Motown, like Smokey Robinson, next to the Eagles, just like that, not even batting an eye, And then so for me, I always that era made an impression on me because the sounds of the instruments and the voices and the textures of the music to me was at one of its like peaks. It was this is the days of Steely Dan, real complex musical arrangements. You had to be a really skilled musician to play this stuff. Like you had to be. Most of this music from that era was made by studio guys who were the top of their craft. The guys from, as a matter of fact, Toto, the group Toto, Toto started out before they were a band. They were hired by Boz Scaggs to play on his tours for him. So they decided, you know what? Let's make our own records, and that's what they did. And they became. Now, during the time that they were a band, the band Toto, all the members played on thousands of other people's records. Michael Jackson's Thriller, that's Toto. Earth, Wind and Fire's I Am, that's Toto. Michael Jackson's Off the Wall album, that's Toto.
See, they're not just Africa people, okay? Come on.
They're not just Africa. and Rosanna, yeah. I mean, Boz Scaggs, that's Toto. All Michael Jackson stuff, all the Jacksons from like 78 to 85, that's Toto. So that's what you're hearing, man. You're hearing this. So like, and those were top studio guys making really good, tight music. So that to me, no matter, then we went through, when I started playing music in the 80s, in the mid 80s, it was the heights or just the beginning of hair metal, Rat. It was, I remember why, you had Quiet Riot, Come On Feel the Noise. That was that was the gate. That was the door opener. Then Rat, then Twisted Sister, and then it was just like Motley Crue. On and on and on. Just got heavier and heavier. And it was faster and faster, and that era. Growing up as a guitar player, starting off in that era, I wanted to be the fastest guitar player. We'd all have competitions. Who could play the intro to Sweet Child of Mine faster? Right. You or me, And so it was, but even so, like I always just, that era of music hit me the most. And through collecting these records and going up there and I kind of rediscovered this sound that I love so much. And I was like, you know what? I know yacht rock, the soft rock stuff is big in other countries. It's like it's got big audiences in Japan. It's got big audiences in Germany, and I'm shipping CDs to the UK, to France, to Germany.
Real big in the UK. Real big out there.
I'm like, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna go in there and just and make some of this stuff, you know, because that was like the next logical step. Make a disco track, make a funk track, make a jazz track, you know, but all using techniques and productions of only that era. So there's no like digital synthesizers on this album. You know what I mean? This is all still it's all in.
Just like phase
It's before
shifted,
that stuff really took over.
Yeah. So it's all just. I wanted it to be like a lost album from back then. That's all. I wanted the cover, you know, her and I at the time.
Yeah, that is me on the cover.
That's her on the cover.
Some people did not know. Some people
Like,
did.
who's this guy making out with on here? Huh?
It is me.
Who's he trying to score with, right? Well, at the time, yeah, that's her. But at the time, you see, the cover represents something. Back in 79, the biggest thing in the world, early 79, was Grease. So you had the cover with John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John. So I wanted to get that, and so a lot of albums would have that you know, boy meets girl cover, you know, like, you know, the kind of like that whole disco vibe, you know, disco nightclub kind of rock and roll kind of thing. So I wanted to have that cover, you know, that just to put it square with the kind of washed out, you know, some fake back then they used to do like fake airbrushing and stuff like that
Right.
on the covers. So I wanted that, you know, and like to make everything like blend, you know, low resolution, you know, low resolution film and all that stuff. So I wanted that to be part of the package, you know. I just wanted to be just a visual and listening thing too, you know. So like the font, 1979, I wanted that. I got from an album back then, and I wanted that exact font. You know, it was like, yeah, that's got to be the font because that fits that era, you know. And I know that Taylor Swift did that album, 1989.
Yeah.
So
She kind of had like some
little bit, yeah.
some sounds like that, so that makes sense. That makes sense.
So I just figured I was going to call it something else, you know, but I thought, no, I like 1979. I think that looks cool the way the numbers line up, and it just puts everything right into the perspective. So that's why I did it, you know, and yeah.
So you were on just as much a nostalgia trip as maybe somebody who's listening to this.
Yeah.
Kind of going back to that era.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of new groups out there making this stuff. Like there are, you wouldn't think so, but there's a lot. There are a lot of Young Guns, Silver Fox. Did you ever hear that?
Oh yeah, they're good.
They do stuff like that.
What's that other one? I think there's
Geister?
one. No, yacht. I think it's called Yacht Rock Revenue.
Their
Their album stuck with me. It's called Hot Dads in Tight Jeans, and I was like,
Yeah,
I was like, that's so like I don't know, like that gives you like an image of like 1970s, you
Right.
know?
that's how it was back then. Eh? Every designer jeans were like, remember that? Yeah. Everybody had the Gloria Vanderbilt designer. Even guys were wearing like designer jeans, like Gucci belts and all that stuff. You know, but that was just, you know, it's yacht rock. It's a general term for soft rock from 78 or 77 to like 83. Mm-hmm. Before like the DX7 kind of came along and really made like synth sounds really harsh and brittle in my opinion. But you know, but before electronics really kind of took over, like before like drum machines came in and changed the human aspect of you know.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is still like all these are real all tracked instruments, and they're all like, you know, and you know, you'd hear these songs and you'd hear mistakes left and right. Oh, he played a wrong note there. He played it wrong, but it was human, you know, like
Yeah.
everything was, you know, and the second part was totally different. The second part, there was another part they added. Like you could tell there's like different. It wasn't homogenous all the way through like it was in the 80s. It was. Everything was organic. It slowly changed in subtle ways throughout the songs back then, you know. And so, I mean, for me, you know, it's that whole, you know, it's kind of like my Beatles, you know, phase. The late 70s were my Beatles phase, you know, like the Pina Colada song was I Want to Hold Your Hand. As bad as that sounds, folks. But
you also you mentioned you were recording this around the same time.
Yeah.
So this is spring.
Yeah, that one actually came out first. So that's by us, the Frost Duo. That's the two of us together. But Chris was, recording that with me, and then recording his stuff. Literally, like, we would be in the studio on a Tuesday, and then he would be there on like a Thursday.
Okay.
It would be back and forth. But yeah, that was our first album. And it's a little bipolar, I guess you could say. It's and I say that because it switches from it switches from like one genre to another, instead of sticking to just one specific genre. So there's a little bit of everything on there, and we kind of did that because I think I had mentioned this to you. We will sometimes write a song together, or, I had already started a song, or he had already started a song. And we just wanted to put something out for our fans. Like, we had a lot of people coming up to us asking, when are you going to put out an album? When are you going to put out an album? And, at that point, we were like, okay, well, we've got a start here. We had already had a little bit of a start. Let's, sit down, record these songs, and get a few more going, and just write what we feel. Write what we feel, not focus on a specific, genre.
Right.
That's not the way we want to do our next album, but that's kind of the way the first one worked.
So your latest song that people can find is "Play Nice."
Yeah, that's our newest track. So that's not on Spring. That's it's a brand new single. Relatively new, and that's smooth jazz, R&B, smooth jazz R&B, and we're really proud of that song. It ended up hitting number 49 on the Smooth Jazz Global Radar chart.
Congrats, that's awesome.
Yeah, which is over 160 reporting stations. I know SiriusXM is one of those stations that reports. Smooth Jazz Global, of course, reports as well. They rack up 17 million listeners a day. They're the largest jazz station in the world, which is cool. But to see our name, this was what really meant a lot to us. To see our name next to somebody like Dave Koz, and Herb Albert. That's just mind-boggling. So we're very grateful for that. So if you guys haven't heard the song "Play Nice," the Frost Duo, check it out. You guys might like it. But we're proud of that one. We're really proud of it.
So do you plan with your next release, are you kind of going in that direction a little bit in terms of, what you want to do next?
Yeah, I think like we've really narrowed it down to the point where we like to have that rock and smooth jazz sound. And when I say rock, I don't mean heavy rock. I mean, soft rock, stuff like that. Even a little bit of singer.
I thought we were going to do that Slayer album.
even of course a little bit of singer-songwriter as well. That's really what we like to do the best and the most.
She loves Paul Simon.
I'm
a Paul McCartney.
But our next single is actually I'm glad that we're going to announce this for the first time. We did a remake. We did a remake at Papa Bear's studio. We went in the other day and we did a remake of Britney Spears. I said Spears's. Oh my goodness. Britney Spears' "Hit Me Baby One More Time," which was it's a pop song. Came out in 1998. But we actually had somebody come to us on Instagram, and they were like, "We really love your jazz material," and that meant so much to us. And they said, "Can you do Britney Spears?" I'm like jazz Britney Spears? Yes.
Yeah, so we did.
Yeah, we kind of thought about it, and we were like, okay, well, let's challenge ourselves. Let's go in. Let's do this. And I think it was a really good outcome. So we're going to plan to release that remake probably the first week or two of May. So we're gonna shoot for May 1st, maybe a week after. We'll see how it goes, but around then. So that's
awesome.
It's got about 15 more chords than the original.
Yeah,
it sounds like Steely Dan and the Bee Gees.
Yes, it's different.
Doing.
But the credits probably had about 30 songwriters, because that's all
Maybe.
modern pop.
Yeah.
It seems to be like it's like a team of 30 people have to get together to write one song.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
how it was, man. That started in the late 80s with Stock, Van Styne, and I forget the other guy, but they produced all the, remember Bananarama? Remember that? And Rick Astley?
Yep.
They produced all that stuff, sounded the same. It was literally, the studio was the size of that room, and it was just banks of computers. That's it. That's all they were doing. Yeah. And there's like 5 guys listed, written by 25 different people.
Right.
See, that blows my mind though. Like I don't think it's easy for anybody to write a song. I'm not gonna sit here and go, oh yeah, it's a piece of cake. No,
Sure.
But I mean, I think it's a lot easier when you're writing a song on your own, or maybe just 2 people, as opposed to 5, 6, 10, 30. That's crazy to me. That's, God bless the people that do that. I don't know. That's mind-boggling to me. Like when you have so many co-writers.
Oh, co-writers.
That's very shocking to me.
Yeah, I mean, because a co-writer could literally just do anything. Like, put this one word in there.
Yeah,
I wrote part of that too. Okay, put my,
Yeah,
I mean, I guess like for me, right, like for me to be most proud of like what I do, or like for me to feel like I'm doing like I'm legitimately doing something. I have to do most of it, like I have to play the instruments, and because if I feel like if I go in there and like I'm playing on somebody else's track, it's just not me. It's like it's I didn't come up, like I just put that little part in there. But if I do all this stuff, it makes me feel more like, it makes it like really like, it makes it for me, Like I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Well, let's grab some comments quick before we wrap up. Let's see. We have Ron Campbell says 1979 rocks.
Oh, we love
you,
Ron.
Ronnie.
He's
we
great.
love you.
Let's see. Kyle Demko loves the Frost. Mike
We love him
Elward
too.
says love these guys.
We love you, Mike.
Let's see. We had some. Ron says Lee Beth is a social media genius. Chris is getting there.
Oh.
I got my first computer in 2008, so.
Well, I was born in the 90s, so I kind of,
Right, you kind of grew up with it.
Yeah.
I'm still playing records over here. Come on.
Marcus Malazzo says, I used to use microtape recorders for that reason. I think when he was talking about us talking into stuff earlier, or for notes on how to improve sound quality. Phones make that more handy for sure. Yeah. Ron wants to know, how many vinyls do you own, Chris?
Oh.
Thousands. Thousands. And they keep and they keep coming in every day. And I'm going to another record show on Sunday.
He doesn't have a couch. The couch is just covered. It's just covered with records.
I haven't been able to sit the right side of my couch for the last 2 years because it's full of recorors. I have no place
He
to
literally lays down in this special position when he's relaxing on his couch at night, and I'm like, please move your record.
Pretty soon I won't be able to lay down. There's going to be records going in that spot. I'm gonna.
You need to make a couch out of records.
The rabbit will go to hop up on the couch and fall because there's records in the way. The pet rabbit. So
Bunny boy, he's 11. He's going to be 11 years old.
Yeah.
That's like 140 in Bunny.
Yeah, right? Jeez.
God bless him. He's still going.
Shout out to Pet Palace. That's where, I don't know, they have the longest living animals, I swear.
He eats like a horse, man. He's still every time you got food in your hand, he comes over and he just eats like a horse still. God bless him.
Let's see. Linda says, we met you guys at the Wyoming County Fair.
Hi, Linda.
Hi.
We were crazy listening to your music. Thank you all for your wonderful talent.
Oh, thank you. Thank you
Let's
so
see.
much.
Jeff Rinker says, I've seen the Frost duo at Pepe's Bistro.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Hi, Jeff.
Yeah.
Great
Hi.
vocal musical talent.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
He wants you to play some real obscure music maybe next time because he's weird
Oh.
that way. So
Hey, that's cool.
That's
You
cool with us.
tell him,
That-
whatever
Jeff, that's in my
whatever he
wheelhouse.
wants, request it, and we'll do our best to play what he
pull it
wants to
out.
hear.
He wants to hear some Van de Graaff generator. I got you covered.
Shannon says you guys are awesome and also great supporters of other musicians, me being one. Thanks.
Oh, yeah, Shannon's awesome. Shannon's
Hi,
awesome.
Shannon.
You know what? It's so and that's a great point to always bring up. It's so important to support your fellow musicians in the scene, and to not only I think so many musicians are so concerned we got to share my music all the time that maybe once in a while mix it in,
You
share
have to
other
share
people's
other
music,
people's stuff too.
and then those people will return the favor. I
Yeah.
see a lot of local bands working together in that way, and they kind of share each other's fans that way by sharing each other's music.
Yeah.
It really does help, lift everybody up.
Well, music keeps everybody going. So I mean, we like other bands. We when we have time, we go out to see other bands that
Yeah.
we enjoy listening to, and we enjoy being the audience sometimes as well, and we enjoy checking out other people's music. I think that's the way the world goes around. So
It's like you guys play for me now for 3 hours. I'm gonna relax.
yeah,
right.
yeah. So.
Well, before we wrap up, I just wanted to ask you guys, both taught music to other people.
Yes.
So I would, what kind of lessons do you kind of impart from your experiences to that you think will help students or impact students the most? Like, what kind of things do you want to tell them or make sure that they kind of take away from your lessons?
Well, I've been teaching since I've been teaching since the 70s. No, I've been teaching since 1988, and the thing that I've gleaned after all these years, I could say that if you're looking for a teacher, you have to. What you want to do is you want to find somebody who is excited about music. That's the most important thing because I think my strongest point as a teacher is I get the person really excited about music. I get them. I try to. If they say they like the certain group, I really get them to I get them to practice those songs, and it doesn't have to be like you could give them, even if you have a beginner student, you could give them you don't have to give them the whole entire thing of Stairway to Heaven, you could give them just the easy part, and they'll walk away from that like, wow, this is great. I'm playing some part of Stairway to Heaven, Right. So you don't have to just do everything by the book, if you will, and sometimes there are people that don't want to do things. They don't want to read notes. They don't want to be bothered with certain technical aspects. So you just have to keep their joy about music going and keep their inspiration and keep them. I'll go in there and say, hey, have you heard this group? Check this group out. And they'll listen to them. Like, yeah, oh my God, that's amazing. I want to. And they'll go out and maybe, buy the CD or download the song, and they'll want to learn that. And it just keeps their interest. The interest keeps their interest will keep their playing ability going. So keep their interest by any means necessary. That's what I learned. 32 years.
For me, I teach voice, and I think the most important thing is to encourage your students to not be too hard on themselves, but to improve. I notice a lot of students come in and they want to walk away from something that makes them uncomfortable. If you have a challenging song that you like, but you feel is too much for you, approach your vocal teacher with it and work on it, and try to step out of that comfort zone. And a lot of times they come to find that they're able to do the song. So that's what's important to me.
You'll learn.
What's that mean?
Take my advice.
What does that mean?
Gonna go with my advice. She's gonna learn sooner or later. No, you're right. You're right. Yeah, I mean, like, ideally, I'm one of these people that loves to, like, you know, when you ask what time is it, I'll explain to you like how the clock works. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I would love to explain to you how this chord goes into this chord. You know how it's supposed to resolve into this chord. But no, you can't really do that in the real world. You know, you have to teach them the opening notes to Highway to Hell, and they're good. You know, and you're good, and everything, and everybody's happy. And that's you know, but sometimes I do have like a lot of students who I have had students that have gone on to get music degrees. You know, I've gosh, at least 20 students over that have gotten music degrees and you know, went on to become teachers themselves. But just keeping their interests up and if something like just like this week, as a matter of fact, I had a piano student. He's just starting out, like maybe I've been teaching him for about a year, so that's still beginning. And he wanted to learn the beginning to Moonlight Sonata by Beethoven. I'm like, oh, okay. But then, you know, okay, here's what we're gonna do, right? I printed him out the easy version, wrote the letters in. He's playing the whole first part of Moonlight Sonata.
Wow.
There you go.
Everybody's happy. His mother's happy. I'm happy. He's happy.
There you go.
It's a win-win-win.
There we go.
Jeff also wants to know what you're spinning your vinyl on. He's envisioning a Lynn turntable and some tube amps. Do you have a fancy setup?
Well, I'm embarrassed to say that I have zero audiophile grade equipment. I'm embarrassed. I do have really good turntables, though. I have two vintage Techniques. I have a 1976. This is when Techniques used to make record changers. Remember the changer with the spindle?
Oh, right, yeah.
So, yeah. So I have two of those. I have two direct drive. I have a SL 1950 that I bought 10 years ago for like $50, refurbished. Thing is amazing. It's all dials, gauges, you know. No digital controls, nothing like that. And I have a 1980 5350. And I have, she bought me a receiver. I actually have a 1980 Techniques receiver. Now this receiver has, get this, an 8-track recorder in it.
Wow.
That works.
That's awesome.
Now, if you can just get 8 tracks.
Yeah, exactly. Where are you going to find them?
There you go. It's got a million knobs and dials and VU meters all over the place and buttons for this and that and the other thing. It's incredible. So, but I have zero high quality. Plus, I have a bunch of other turntables. I have a turntable which burns your vinyl directly onto a CD. It's got a built-in CD burner right in there. It's a Newmark. So that's like the main thing that I use, and a bunch of other things. You know.
So you're going to be at the Windsor Inn in German on February 28th. Mm-hmm. Scores Bar and Grill in Williamsport March 6th. Mm-hmm. Thirsty's Bar and Grill in Oliphant on March 20th. I just want to grab a couple of dates there for people to plug, but make sure you follow them on social media. The Frost Duo.
Yes.
On social media, make sure you Facebook, Instagram,
Spotify, iTunes, all those, yeah. So.
Okay, keep a lookout for. Make sure you pick up 1979. Just came out the spring album as well.
CD
by the
Baby,
Frost. CD Baby,
iTunes, me directly.
Catch them at a show coming up. These guys play all over the place.
Target.com.
Do you want to close this out with a song? You want to play something?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that'd be great.
Christian brought his guitar, so.
Oh yes, I should mention the lights are very low.
Well, Christian's very tall, so.
Would you happen to look what I just found? I found a guitar.
Oh, well, that worked out. That's very convenient.
How about that?
We're going to do a song for you guys called Aimee. It's off our album Spring. The production is a very soft rock sound, but this is our acoustic rendition, of course, and we hope you guys enjoy.
This is an interesting signal. when she brought this song to me, she's like, I want to do this in like a Dire Straits or a Bob Dylan thing. I'm like, no.
Well, that's the way it sounds acoustic, but. And we'd like to thank NEPA Scene. Thank you so much for having us on here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Aimee was a bad girl, ran away from home when she was 17. I remember hiding in the bushes from her boyfriend, he was off the beam. Used to sneak onto my back porch to steal my parents' cigarettes. Those are the good times that I wish Aimee didn't forget. Oh, Aimee, where have you gone? Oh, Aimee, where have you gone? Hope you see me one day on a big stage singing this song. Oh, Aimee, where have you gone? Where have you gone? Well, Aimee was a brazen one, never afraid of heights. Climbed to the roof of a condo, gazed up at the light. Purple clouds above Manhattan covered all the light. Oh, what I give to go back to that time. Little did I know Aimee couldn't find some peace of mind. Oh, Aimee, where have you gone? Oh, Aimee, where have you gone? Hope you'll see me one day on a big stage singing the song. Oh, Aimee, where have you gone? 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 Oh, Aimee, where have you gone?
Yes.
Thanks so much, you
Thank
guys.
you.